Yeah, I'm here today talking with Adam Walker. One or two of you may have read or heard about Adam's problems with the Teaching Council and what Michael Gove, the Education Secretary, did. And probably like myself, you're very curious as to how this came about, how such a draconian measure was imposed that effectively banned Adam from teaching for life. So I've caught hold of him and I'm going to ask him myself exactly what happened and where we go from now. Adam, you were obviously up before the council recently, and the ruling that came back that you were banned for life for teaching by Michael Gove was quite astonishing. I mean, what on earth has happened?
It's quite a difficult one, Simon. Obviously, you mentioned there for life. I did something wrong. I followed some kids in my Land Rover across a piece of land, spiked the tyres. At the time, I'd done it after a lot of provocation. They'd given me quite a lot of verbal abuse prior to this, and I snapped. It was completely wrong of me, and I shouldn't have done it. But as a result, I was expecting around about a 2-year suspension from my teaching career, and I actually got that from the panel. The panel handed that down to me with a right to appeal after 2 years, which is kind of normal for that type of incident. Or that type of occurrence. But Mr. Gove, obviously with his axe to grind because of my appearance previously with the GTC, where I was found not guilty of racial discrimination, he wasn't too happy about that one. Within a week he closed the GTC completely, formulated the teaching agency, and then afterwards it became another arm of the government. So here we are today. He overruled the panel, totally went against their decision and said that I'm now banned from teaching for life.
So let's get this right. Michael Gove, who in 2010, after you were declared innocent by another panel, who then went on to The Guardian that said BNP teachers should be banned full stop.
Yeah.
This guy then overrules a professional standards tribunal, completely overrules them despite their decision, and bans you for life. Is that what's happened?
That's exactly what's happened, yeah. And it kind of throws mud in the face of the panel.
Yeah.
They were there, they spent a lot of time reading my case file.
Yeah.
We spent a whole day, I presented myself, there was a lot of mitigation in there. I explained that I'd been teaching for 20 years, nothing had ever occurred in the classroom previously to this, and that I presented them with lots of character witnesses, 18 in total, and they were happy with that, and their decision was that, like I said previously, 2 years. It took a lot of work to convince them of that. I mean, it's not a difficult thing to...
But what was the point of having the panel in the first place if Michael Gove can just inflict whatever punishment he
I
wants
really
on
don't
you?
know. Perhaps it was all pre-planned anyway, and perhaps the panel were going through a circus. I don't know, a kangaroo court. I'm not sure. But to overrule the panel and undermine them in such a way, I think that it goes beyond belief.
Well, I mean, just how quickly did this happen? I mean, the panel produced their result, and then was Michael Gove straight on? Was he on the hotline?
It was,
or what?
well, yeah, it appeared as though it was almost preempted, as though it was already decided that he would make that decision after that day, and we had a decision, I believe it was within 48 hours, so almost immediately in terms of...
Well, I mean, there is a thing enshrined in law in this country, where the English common law, whereby you have to have a fair trial. Now, how can you have a fair trial from a tribunal that is then overruled by a man who has stated that whatever the case, if you're in the BNP, doesn't matter what you've done or anything like that, then you shouldn't be teaching? Surely that has to fly in the face of everything that we hold dear.
Indeed it does, and what we've got here is a very, very extremely dangerous precedent being set by Mr. Gove and the education establishment, because it's not just myself, but what if I was, I don't know, perhaps if I was a Muslim or another type of person who didn't quite fit into their agenda, what happens then? Do they do the same type of, are they meted out with the same type of treatment that I was? Because they're not adherent to the politically correct doctrine that's being passed down from above? I don't know. It's very, very dangerous.
It is dangerous. I mean, in a way, it is a compliment, as I've said to you before, because if you're just an ordinary guy and whatever, you're teaching, you're trying to make a living, he's effectively saying to you, you are not allowed to earn a living, to earn the money to feed your family because of the danger of your political message,
Yes.
if you see what I mean. That's a very serious business, isn't it?
Well, it is indeed, and the panel found that I wasn't really... the emphasis wasn't on the danger to children. It was they said that I'd done wrong, and they realised that I'd done wrong, and I held my hands up and I admitted what I'd done wrong, and they were happy with that. The real danger is that Mr. Gove has overruled everything that they've said, and he's decided that because of what he thinks that I think, I now cannot make a living for myself for the rest of my life in the teaching profession. Now, that is really, really scary, because as far as what Mr. Gove wants, he wants me out of my house, he wants me to lose my family, and he wants me to lose all credibility and everything that I've ever worked for. I've spent tens of thousands of pounds going to university to be educated, to be a teacher, and I was an exceptionally good teacher as well, and I was very, very well respected, and I have references from head teachers to prove that. It's just unfortunate that we have people like Mr. Gove in a position of power who clearly knows nothing about the educational establishment, knows absolutely nothing about the children that teachers are faced with every day, or anything to do with anything that's happening in the real world. Mr. Gove really does need to get a grip on reality.
No, well, if it was me, I mean, straight away I'd be looking at a Freedom of Information request to see if this has set a precedent, if there's anybody else that has been banned for life. I mean, for instance, we've had various left-wing people involved in violence. Have they been banned for life? Various extreme Muslim clerics, are they banned for life? Does Mr. Gove even know about these cases?
Well, we have recently a paedophile there, images of young children being sexually abused on his computer, and he didn't even get an interim ban. He was just left to teach. He appeared in front of the council, they made their decision, and Mr. Gove didn't even have a look in on that one. He just let him get on. And this lets you see that it's not the whole thing is not about the education of children, it's about passing on a message from above, and it's about political indoctrination of our children. And they don't want anybody like me to get anywhere near children, just in case I use my influence to poison their tiny little minds. In anything
you'd
other.
Never do that. Anybody that knows you knows that you're professional enough never to bring politics into the classroom.
Exactly, and it's never happened. Even when I appeared in front of the General Teaching Council before, it wasn't the fact that I'd been preaching politics to children, because I kept that to myself. And in fact, if I hadn't have been in front of the General Teaching Council, nobody would have known what my politics were, and never would to this day.
No. Well, this is it. I think there's a very subtle point that's being made here when a government cannot trust its own citizens. They don't trust them. In other words, the situation in this country now is so volatile, so fragile, that people cannot be trusted to even countenance the idea of having a different aspect, a different non-governmental line to how society is, and allow them to teach. I mean, as I said to you before, it's a compliment. But anyway, I know the type of guy you are. You're not going to let it leave. You're not going to let it lie like this.
No.
So obviously you've taken legal advice about it. Where are we going to go from here?
Well, I'd like to go to the High Court. That's the only place I can appeal, the only court in the land, and I fully intend to fight it all the way, because I can't let this man get away with this. If he ruins my life, which he wants to do, he wants to break me, he wants to ruin my life, spoil it for me and my family and everybody around me. If we let him get away with that, he's going to get away with others, regardless of their political belief, their race or their religion, and it has to stop.